Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Making of Podcast. And I am so excited to have this amazing guest. He was a past guest that I had on, I think last year. And then we tried to have him on with his partner in crime, where the audio was not so kind. So today I am so honored to have Dr. Rob Ritter back and bless us with his presence. So good to see you, Rob. How are
It's
you?
al- Great. It's always great to see you, Ashley. You always got a smile on your face. You're always so positive. It's great to spend time with you. You're easy to chat with. I'm excited for your journey. It's all good. It's all good. I'm good. Having a good summer. I got back from my vacation. I had a big birthday. Actually, my birthday, Father's Day landed on my birthday this year. So I got a twofer. And
Nice.
I had a big birthday, and so we celebrated in the on the Amalfi Coast with my family, which was a great 11 days away. And then
Oh,
I'm back at it and ready for this. I got some other things coming up. We got our protocol course coming up in August. I'm speaking at the AED up in the Grove Park Inn up in North Carolina. So it's
amazing.
fun. It's going to be a very busy month of August, actually, which I'm excited for, and excited, obviously, to be here with you and to cover a lot of topics and kind of do a quick review of what Ramsey went over. I listened to that presentation. That was wow. He was like shot out of a cannon, wasn't he?
um, I mean, he was pretty low key and bland, like totally.
Did you get a lot of feedback?
Oh my gosh, the feedback was so good, overwhelmingly positive. It really shook people to their core. I think he said a lot of things that we just needed to hear. And we find, we'll get into this, but I know that a lot of docs are very frustrated in their practices. They are burnt out. They are unhappy with their present circumstances. And honestly, they take what their team dishes, if that makes sense. Like they
Yep.
it's and I think we are so fearful of losing a team member, or we're so scared that we're not going to be able to replace someone on our team. So he struck a chord with so many people, and I've gotten so much feedback, like positive feedback. So I'm really happy that you are on now, so you can kind of give a comprehensive approach to the partnership that is Ritter and Ramsey.
Yeah. So I think, I just want to answer answer to what he was saying too, that, Ashley, after 30 years, I've been practicing my 31st year of practice, and I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. Every decision I make was not always the right one. Um, I thought I was right at that moment or that time. And I always try to do the long-term decision making, not the short term, because
Mhm.
I was in this for a long term. One of the big mistakes, though, is I held on to some team members I shouldn't have early in my career. I just want to start there. And we all do it for various reasons. Obviously, we have a lot of student loan debt. We have a lot of practice loan debt. We have a lot of overhead. We have mortgages to pay, cars, insurances, children's private schools. I get it. I mean, I totally understand that. And then a lot of people say, well, I have to see people on this PPO plan where it's paying $52 for hygiene. I hear all of that. I know that what they're talking about. What I'm talking about is something a little bit more specific. You can manage all of that if you have the right support people in place. And if you have poison in your practice, you think by getting rid of your high performance hygienist, your high performance clinical assistant, who I call partner, and your front office person, whether it be the treatment coordinator or the person to make the financial arrangement, like, oh, if I lose that person, all of a sudden my production is going to tank 50%. No, it's not. No, it is not. You will find somebody to replace them. Everything I've done and we've done, me and Ramsey, is when we've replaced them, we found somebody better. We
Mhm.
found somebody better. And what held us back is our own fear, our own insecurity. And I'm telling you from the other side of this, if you have people that are poison, that do not share the belief system of the practice. They're not on the, all these metaphors, you're not on the bus, you're not on the train, all these different things that you hear from these practice management consultants, whatever words you want to use. If they're not with you on this journey and they're a hindrance to you, get rid of them. Walk back in there on Monday and say, I've had enough. And you'll
Mhm.
find somebody else. The labor market is changing a little bit. I don't know if you've heard this or not. The amount of unemployment is ticking up a little bit. They're
Mhm.
being more selective for jobs, but there's also means there's more people looking for jobs than before. You will find the right fit for your practice. Get rid of the poison, flush it down the toilet, and move on, because they're the ones stopping you from getting you to where you want to be in your practice and your goal. Then don't let that happen. I mean, it's one thing when you decide you want to make a switch and you want to make a change in your practice and those things, but don't let these people do it to you. It's your practice. It's your name on the door. It's your reputation. It's your money. It's your credit line. It's you. Make it happen. Don't wait for them to make decisions for you. You make the decisions. In our practice, I think I told you before, and if not, I'll say it one more time. We have a benevolent dictatorship in our practice. It is not a democracy.
Mhm.
It is not. It's a benevolent dictatorship, meaning we make the rules, me and my business partner, Ramsey. Okay.
Mhm.
And believe me, we're very good to our team members. That's why our treatment coordinator has been there for 15 years. My office manager has been there for 24, our clinical assistants for 18. I mean, there's a reason why, because we treat them with a lot of love and respect, but it's very clear. When we make a decision, it's yes, Dr. Ritter. If I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. If I didn't ask for your opinion, don't give it to me. I'm not interested. There are times that we as business owners have to make decisions that are wildly unpopular by the people that work for us, but we're making them for the greater long-term good of the patients and the practice health. And if they
Mhm.
don't want to do it, that's fine. You don't have to say it to me you don't want to do it, but you're going to do it. You're going to do it if you want to maintain our relationship in the practice of you coming into work in our practice. That's the way it works. We'll take care of you. I got your back. If you do exactly what I ask you to do and say what I ask you to say in the practice, and don't go rogue, is the words we
Mhm.
use. I got your back. When you go rogue, I can't help you. I can't help you. Do what the do what the practice is best for the practice, which in turn is best for the patient.
Mhm.
That's what we want to establish in our practice. And it's very, very important to us. Just last week or the week before, small flare up. It's not perfect. There's no perfect practice. And we have to, he's very, it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Focused on the practice is very focused on customer care, quality care for our patient. And that
Mhm.
means constantly turning the dials to tweak things to get them to be even better. And last week or the week before, one of the assistants was telling us their opinion. And I finally looked at them and I said, in the morning huddle, I go, not interested in your opinion. This is the way it's going to be. This is this, and this is this. Period. End of story. We're not having this discussion past this moment. If you want to, if you want to sit there and sulk for a moment before you go out and see the patients, you can. But then when you come out, you better have a smile on your face, because we consider ourselves the Apple Store of dentistry. Everybody leaves happy. You know what, the Apple Store, that's the internal motto, right? Everybody leaves happy. We are the Apple Store of dentistry in our area. Everybody leaves happy. Hope I wasn't too boast to get this started.
No, I mean, you guys buckle up your seatbelts. It's going to be part two of Ritter and Ramsey. I'm so excited. That
Yeah.
I love that so much. And then like, how early on in your career did you develop that muscle, Rob?
Not as early as I should have.
Mm.
See, I'm going to come from a different place right now. I'm not going to tell you, oh my gosh, I was so determined and so focused 2 years out of dental school and I owned my practice. No, 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 no. I was finding my way. I
Mhm.
was finding my way in a very different market, in a not a very welcoming area when I moved to town with a
Mhm.
clear, I did have a vision of what I wanted to do, but clearly it was not set up for that when I got into the practice that I purchased. Because again, it wasn't a startup. I purchased a 30-year-old practice, well, which was a amalgam PFM drill, fill, and bill practice. And I
Mhm.
had to convert a lot of traditionalists to the type of dentistry that I wanted to provide for them in the manner at which I wanted to provide it, which was very different than what the previous owner had in place. I'm not going to say the previous owner didn't do a good job. I'm just saying that was not my vision. Put that together with a very non-welcoming dental community, it was challenging. And I was nervous that I was, what was I going to make it? Was I going to survive? Was I going to make those payments that everybody is, beholden to? And so I put up with a lot of guff from patients and a lot of guff from my team members. But through, time and patience and putting a plan together and enacting that plan, we cycled out of certain things. We cycled out of certain patients. We cycled out of certain team members, and we
Mhm.
replaced them with people who had a much more a vision that was closer to what me and my business partner wanted to have for the next 20, 25, 30 years.
Oh, so good. How often are you meeting with individual team members? Like, do you
I'd
do
say my,
reviews?
so do we meet with them? The answer is yes. Is it a set quarterly, biannual method? No, it's not. Um, when things are going well, we'll tell them things are going well. Hey, this is great. This is great. When things seem to come off the rails a little bit, we'll say, okay, you know what? It's time for a team meeting.
Mm.
Let's have a team meeting this week, next week, the week after that. Let's block out, 2 hours worth of time. Me and Chris will sit down. We'll put a list of things together that we want to
Mhm.
cover, and then we'll present it, come up with ideas to enact the new direction that we want to go. At that time, if there are times where I don't have an answer, I'll open it up to the floor and say, hey, how can we get there? Help me with this. Help me understand how this is going. Other times, me and Chris are very direct and say, this is what's going to happen. Did he tell you the story of when he didn't want to send bills out anymore?
No.
So we were spending an inordinate amount of time of sending out bills, anywhere from between, $5 up to $50 or whatever the bills. And what had happened was he had come back from another physician's appointment, I think, and everybody has their credit card on file, and then they would just bill the credit card. And he goes, that's what we're going to do here. And then, of course, somebody in a practice said, well, I don't know if that'll work. And he goes, listen, I'm not really interested in your opinion whether it's going to work or not. This is the way it's done in other offices. This is the way we're going to do it.
Mhm.
He says, I bet you 95% of the people will not have a problem giving us their credit card. And then we just bill the credit card for when the balance from the insurance comes in.
Mhm.
And then every now and then, and I mean, it's very infrequent, Ashley. I would say when we did this, once every 3 months, somebody would walk at that and they were giving either Ashley or, Kathy a hard time. They'd go get Ramsey. And Ramsey is very good, what I call wordsmithing these patients. And he puts it and frames it in such a way where he says to them, look, you've got two choices, at the end of it. You can either give us the credit card or you can just pay us in full. And then whenever the insurance comes in, we'll cut the insurance check back. The insurance check will come back to you. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I'll just give her my credit card. Everybody's caved. They've all caved in. But that's because he made it clear to the entire team. Everybody's on board with this. You can't say to the patient on the side, oh, I know it's, no. You're like, this is the way it is. Every patient
Mhm.
in the practice does this. There is no wavering from it. So there's no more billing that goes out. We have everybody's credit card on file. So let's also be clear about what we have and what we don't have. Because this is the number one thing that gets me in dentistry right now. If you don't mind me going off on a small tangent here, is that
Oh,
okay?
I want you to go on all your tangents,
No, no, no.
Bob.
I want you to keep me focused. Okay. My number one, if you want to call it bitch in dentistry, is my line. It's not what they tell you, it's what they don't tell you. So let me give you a couple
Mm.
of examples of what I mean by this. Okay, let's talk about the difference between being in network, being OON, out of network, and being fee for service. Everybody knows what being in network is. Now
Mhm.
let's because I just went onto Facebook and I was going at it with somebody there too, because they're a practice management consultant. They were trying to skate the line. They were trying to be accommodating to people and not make them feel bad, but at the same time, not being completely honest with them because they're going to hurt their feelings or potentially lose a client. I don't like that. You
Mhm.
call it as it is. I'm a referee. I call it as I see it. Okay. So now, what's the difference between out of network and fee for service? This is my definition. I think this is the true definition of them. Out of network means that a patient will find you, you are not on the list,
Mhm.
and there will be a copay of whatever the difference is from what the insurance will pay to what your fee is, correct? So let's
Yes.
just use regular numbers. Let's say the hygiene appointment is $125 and that insurance pays $100. That means their copay is $25.
Yes.
That's out of network.
Mhm.
Okay. Fee for service. And by the way, one more thing. Out of network means we can take everybody's insurance, not HMO. That
Mhm.
means we can take everybody's insurance. So we're in an unrestricted status. We can take, when they say, do you take our insurance? Yes, we take everybody's insurance. Oh, that's great. It's true. We take everybody's
Mhm.
insurance. There will be a small copay, just like every other doctor's visits that you go
Mhm.
to.
Yes.
Think about it, Ashley. Every doctor that you go to, don't you have a
Mhm.
copay?
Yes.
Everywhere. Every
Mhm.
doctor I go to, my cardiologist, my primary care, my endocrinologist, my dermatologist, I have a copay. Every physician I go to, there's a copay. So we are just like that in dentistry. There is a copay. Now, the copay does vary depending upon the quality of the insurance that the patient has with their insurance company. But that's a patient to insurance company or a patient to employer issue. Has nothing to do with us.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, what does fee for service mean? Fee for service means that when you charge $1,200 for a crown,
Mhm.
when you prep that tooth for the crown, you get paid $1,200 by the patient that day. You
Mhm.
submit the paperwork to the insurance as a courtesy to the patient. And then within usually, I don't know, 2, 3 weeks, the insurance company cuts the check back to the patient for the portion that they would cover. So let's say the insurance company would cover $800 out of 1,200. The $800 goes back to the patient directly. They usually get it faster than the insurance check comes back to the dental office,
Mhm.
and the patient is out of pocket $400. But the
Mhm.
dentist got paid all up front. That's fee for service. That's how I look at the insurance game right now.
Mhm.
Do you agree with that, or do you have anything to add to that?
No, I agree 100%.
Okay. So then let's talk about going out of network. So I've been out of network before. I've been fee for service before. I was in network PPO before. Now I'm out of network again. Okay. I've been
Mhm.
out of network for not quite 3.5 years. Okay. The amount
Okay.
of paperwork goes down. The amount of cal, you know, different calculations goes down. Can you do it? The answer is yes. You can do it. There's a way to do it, though. I just had this conversation with somebody a couple of weeks ago. It's very important the way this is done. Back in the old days, and I don't want to I'm not going to name anybody. There was a very famous dentist who would tell everybody, just go back and drop your insurance, which was the death knell of a practice. Stupid
Mhm.
advice, poorly given, no direction, not a care for the dentist. It's not how you do it. The number one thing you do is you don't send a letter out that you're getting rid of the PPO, that you're getting out of network. You don't send a letter out. You don't do that. You'll lose 50% of the patients right off the bat.
Right.
So you don't do that. How do you do it? Well, when the patient, you see that you've got out of network, you've sent the letter in, you wait the requisite, I think it's 90 days before you don't have to see those patients anymore. The patient is coming in to see you for hygiene. You call the patient to confirm. I want to let you know the insurance status with our practice has changed. We are now in an unrestricted status. We still accept all of your insurance, except now there'll be a copay. I don't know how much that copay will be. I can look it up on the computer if you want to know if the patient asks. That's it. That's all you say. If the patient is loyal to you, appreciates your office, the quality of dentistry you provide, has been with you for a while, understands what you're doing in the practice, loves that your treatment coordinator has been there for 5 years, your hygienist is 5 years, they'll be like, fine. And what you say to them is, if they say, oh, was a copay? Just like what I said, there's a copay whenever you go to any of your physician's office. This is the same thing. and you don't say another word. And I'm going
Mhm.
to tell you, when we did this and we dropped all of the insurances that we had, we lost about, in total, out of 4,500 patients, we lost 25.
Wow. Amazing.
That's because the team members were very specific in the wording. And in fact, we came up with a template, right? Scripting for them to say. They never said that we were out of network or we don't accept your
Mm.
insurance, or more importantly, we're not on a list anymore. You can't say these things. Somebody would say, well, he's not being honest with them. No, we're being honest with them. We're out of network, right? You can choose any dentist that you want to go to. We accept more insurance than ever before. We're in an unrestricted status, and there's a copay. Is that lying to anybody? The answer is no, it's not. It's all in the wording. And if you do this correctly, over a period of time, you can drop out. Now, the other thing I recommend is if you're going to go down this route, do not do this to all of your insurances once you start. Let's say you take 4 different PPOs, you participate in 4 different plans. I would say take the one that has the smallest amount of patients in it and use
Mhm.
that as a trial. So let's say you had an insurance that had 100, 150 people on it. Use it with them first. Try that for 6 months. See how that goes. If that goes well and your plan is enacted and you follow the plan, then take the next biggest one 6 months later. And over a period of a year or 2 years, however long it takes you, you'll hold on to the majority of your patients. You'll accept all the new patients with the new understanding that there'll be a copay, and you're out of it. And there's no going back.
Right. I have two questions about that.
Yes.
Did did you get any backlash when their copays were significantly higher? Like let's say for a crown, because now your out of network fee is, I'm presuming it's your UCR fee, is it?
Yes. So the question there is, how much of this did we get?
Yes.
And the answer is some, but not enough to warrant any changes to the approach that we had. If you
Okay.
ask Kathy, our OM office manager, this question, she would say, yeah, some people said something. She goes, but it's not enough to even bring to your attention
Hmm.
because of the way that's said. Your second question was?
What are your thoughts on pre-authorizations?
I don't have a, it's a very interesting question. I don't have a problem with pre-authorization. There are some states, I know Iowa being one of them, and I'm not familiar with the other 49 states, that let's say we use Delta Dental, which is the behemoth. There's a
Right.
Delta Dental of Iowa that you can go into the computer the day of and you can get your pre-estimate right then and there. So if the patient wants to know right then and there, because the system is set up to allow you to do that, where's the harm or the foul of letting them know that they're going to be out of pocket $400? I have no
Mhm.
problem with that. That's great.
Okay.
Now, what if the patient comes in to see you with a broken tooth and they want to pre-authorize it? The broken tooth is still a broken tooth. It needs to be done.
Hmm.
So they want to pre-authorize it and wait for it. I tell them, you want to do that, you can. You wait, you could break off more of the tooth, you could risk losing the tooth, or you might effectively double the cost of it because you might wind up needing a root canal. If that's what
Hmm.
you want to do, it's your tooth, it's your dollar. That's okay.
Hmm.
But I'm not going to accept responsibility for it. See, that's the other game that we're playing right now, right? Is who's ultimately accepting responsibility? And the fact is, it's those people's teeth, Ashley. Now,
Hmm.
another big thing for me, besides, the my big issue, which is not what they tell you, what they don't tell you.
Hmm.
One of the people that I learned from 30 years ago, Bill Strupp, has got one of the best lines I've ever heard in dentistry. And most people will quote people and steal it for themselves, but I'm not going to steal it. I'm going to give it back to Bill Strupp. Bill Strupp says, I am not in the business of saving people money. I am in the
Mm.
business of being a dentist trying to save their teeth for a lifetime. You
I love
understand what that
that.
means? I love that too. I am not here to save the patient money. I'm not. I don't buy into the drama. When you start feeling bad for the patient, you start making bad decisions. I call it as I see it. You have a broken tooth. There's a huge crack in the tooth. There's a good
Mhm.
chance you have cracked tooth syndrome. We might be able to save the tooth. It's going to require full coverage restoration.
Mhm.
I'm not here to save them money. I'm here to save their teeth for a lifetime of use. I 100% believe in that.
I love that. I'm gonna start using that and quoting
Just
Bill
quote, give
Strapp.
it back to Bill though, because
I will.
I've had some quotes stolen from me and people don't give me the credit for it. And you think, oh, does Ritter really care? Actually, I don't, except it's one person that steals my line all the time and I
Oh,
bust him on it all the time. So it's like, if you come up with, I just came up with a new one too, but I'm saving it for the AED and my lecture. Um, so I'm gonna save it for there. Uh, but I'll use it at the making of summit. Okay.
I okay. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm writing a note to myself.
It's a good one about Instagram. It's a really
It's a
good one.
good one. Okay.
It's a really good one. Yeah, it's
Well,
a really
I
good.
will. I'm gonna save it. Okay. So
Okay.
I want to talk to you about just. I mean, I took the protocol. I loved it. I told you I loved it. I like we
Mhm.
podcasted about it. It was amazing, and one thing that I mean, there were so many things that I really loved, but like just how you guys do your case presentation, the art of the consult,
Mhm.
and when you're thinking about the amount of dentistry that you're actually able to provide for your patients, it's amazing. And you're doing it at such a premium cost. Like you're not cutting your fees, which you see so many people doing these days, like, oh, $800 a veneer. Like, come on, you're really that sometimes that's your lab bill. Um, who who is who is presenting the financials in your practice?
Okay, so let's go over that because I think you talked to Ramsey about this too. He talked to you about how the consult works, right? And he talk about this on the podcast with you as well. You start with a positive, you end with a positive. He went through all of that, right?
Yes, but I don't remember if he talked about like who actually closes and gets
Okay,
like a okay.
because I don't want to right, and I don't want to repeat because he does a masterful job of that. So I'll try to fill in the blanks of what he didn't cover because otherwise you could spend 3 hours. I mean, that's kind of what the protocol is, right? It's about
Mm-hmm.
showing people the accumulation of data digitally, but more importantly, it's the chairside consult, the wording, the body language, the positioning, all of those things. And that's why the protocol is very successful because there's nothing else out there like that. So the financials. After we go through everything with the patient, we bring Ashley in the room. Now, I want to make sure again, it's not what they tell you, it's what they don't tell you. I want to be very specific about this. If you're asking me, do we give them how much the fee is, the doctor explain it to them? The answer is yes,
Mm-hmm.
we do. We don't shy away from the fact that we're the most expensive dentist for this type of dentistry in town. In fact, I think he told you we're proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we knock each other out about it. We go to extreme lengths to provide the patient, again, the apple store of dentistry that they leave happy. There was a case my partner did yesterday, the day before. He's on his fourth set of temporaries. His
Wow.
fourth set. I know a laboratory who doesn't agree with us. He's told us to our face. He goes, "Oh, you guys are working too hard and you don't need to do that." And no, we do. We do. Because I want the patient to walk out of there and be nothing but happy. That's all I want them to be so happy that when they come back to their teeth clean, they hug me. Best thing I ever did, and refer two of their friends in. And if that
Mm-hmm.
means I got to go through 4 sets of attempts to get there, so be it. Who cares? Who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? We're charging enough to cover it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Do I drop the fee on the patient? The answer is yes, after a thorough understanding of what's involved. Then I bring Ashley in the room, and Ashley will go ahead and she'll say, so where are we at? And I'll say, Ashley, so, I just talked to Mrs. Jones about her case. We need to open up her bite. She understands that to create the room that we need to rebuild her teeth so she's not breaking things, I've got to go from teeth number 3 through 14. So it's 12 units at
Mm-hmm.
$2,500 a unit. And we went through how many appointments they're going to be. And if she wants to get started, we could bring her back for the records appointment, which would roughly be somewhere between a half hour and an hour. And from there, we'll go ahead and find a date for her to come in for her preparation date. And she'll great. And then Ashley will leave the room. She'll type up she has it in a template that we give to you actually. We give you thumb drive, the protocol thumb drive
Mhm.
that has the paperwork, and you just switch out your practice name, and then you type in how many teeth there is, and what's involved. And then the patient goes up front, and all the questions that they asked me, they ask Ashley again.
Mhm.
Same questions because they're emotionally overloaded,
Mhm.
right? We think we do a great job. They forget 90% from the
Mhm.
chair to the front office. They ask Ashley the exact same questions over again.
Mhm.
How much is that again? $2,500 a tooth times 12 teeth. Okay. And then Ashley sits there and doesn't say anything. When I present it to the patient, same thing. When I drop the fee on them, I just sit there and look at them. There was somebody a while ago, maybe about a year ago, they were looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and there was dead silence. And humans are uncomfortable with silence. Take a look at this
Mhm.
podcast. So, you know, you're looking at them, they're looking at you. And this goes on for a good 15, 20 seconds, and we're still looking at each other. I just start laughing. Like, I'm like, and the neighbors are like, why is he laughing? Because I'm not going to say anything. Because the person who speaks first loses.
Loses. Yeah.
Don't say anything. So that's how we do that's how we do the consultations. But most importantly, I think people have to understand that when I'm doing this, I've learned this along the way that um, this is a lot of money. I want to make sure people understand that the type of dentistry that we are doing is a lot of money. I am not
Mhm.
immune to that. It is a
Mhm.
lot of money. It's amazing what people will spend their money on and what their value systems are. I don't determine that for other human beings. That comes from your childhood, your ability to earn an income, your savings habits, your spending habits. That's none of actually, it's none of my business, and it's none of my concern either. None of it. If you think it's too much money, okay, it's too much money. If you think, well, I'd rather have this than my new car, okay,
Mhm.
so be it. I had somebody a while ago come in. I dropped the fee on them, and they're like, well, that's more than I thought it was going to be. He who speaks first, right? I go, well, what did you think it was going to be? And where did you come up with that number?
Mhm.
And they're like, well, I don't know. I said, so you just came up with a number? I'm like, well, yeah. And they go, well, I thought it was going to cost me a car. I said, that's right. You thought it was going to cost you a Mercedes, but you thought it was going to cost a Mercedes C class. It's actually a Mercedes S class. It's like, that's right. I said, but I'm going to go back to you again. Where did you come up with the first number? Like, I don't know. I said, then I can't help you because you arbitrarily pulled a number out and said, this is what your value system said you're going to attach to this.
Mhm.
The difference is, though, that when you have a Mercedes, how often do you turn it in for a new car? And he kind of started like uncomfortable smirk to me. And I said, can I answer that for you? I'm going to say you probably turn your car in every 3 years. He goes, yeah. I said, so you'll spend $40,000 to $50,000 on a new car every 3 years. But if I told you this case could potentially last you 20 years and it's the same amount of money, you don't see the same value in that. I said,
Mhm.
I can't help you with that. That's
Mhm.
your own thing. If you need to go home and think about that, that's fine with me. I don't arm wrestle anybody. I don't
Mhm.
strong arm anybody. If they're not ready for it, that's fine. I have a lot of long tail. What's long tail? I'll present treatment to somebody. They come back 6 months, 12 months, 18 months later. Ashley will come to me. Ashley, I'll tell you my Ashley. She'll come to me and say, Mrs. Jones just committed to doing the upper arch. I look at her, I go, who's that? She starts laughing. She goes, you saw her about 12 months ago. I go, I don't remember her. I don't. I don't remember her. I've seen probably 50 consults since then. I don't remember her. How can I?
Mhm.
I don't remember her. She's decided to do it now. What's changed for her? Number one, obviously something financially has changed. Are her kids out of college? Has she gone through a divorce? Has she gotten married? Has she sold her house? Has she retired? I don't know. but something has changed to where she said, I'm ready to make a change. Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Ah. Okay, so do you get any Instagram people just messaging you and just asking like how much are veneers?
I do, and I don't answer. I always go
Oh, you
back to,
don't.
no, I
Okay.
don't give them a fee. I don't even give them a range. I go, I couldn't even tell you if you're a veneer candidate. A lot of people come in, actually. The other thing is, you know this from the protocol.
Mhm.
People come in thinking they want veneers. So let's go through the process there. They don't have pretty teeth.
Mhm.
I want veneers. I want 6 veneers. How much are 6 veneers? Am I right? This is what typically happens.
Yeah.
Patients who actually do have them come in, and Ramsey likes to say you're 90% of the way there. If they come to that appointment and they show up for that appointment and they've taken time out of their day, taken time out of work, taken time away from their children, they're really interested in doing this. Okay, so now they come in, you look at them, and they're a first premolar extraction case. They're overclosed. They've worn off the incisal edges from 6 to 11. There's no room between the lower anterior and upper anterior. Are they a veneer case?
Nope.
No. How can I quote them a veneer fee? How can I quote them 6 veneers where they're not a 6 veneer case? It's not even a veneer case. So I can't do that.
Mhm.
I don't do that. Say, come on in for the consultation. It'll be worth your time. I'll sit there, take photos, take a scan. I'll show you cases that look like yours, come up with a custom designed treatment plan that'll fit your face.
Are you charging for that?
I do. I charge because, again, I don't want tire kickers.
Mm.
And again, this is my way of doing it. If you like to have people come in and do consults and you think that works for you, that you don't charge them for the consult and you don't mind giving up your time for that, let's say you do 10 consults and 2 people commit and you think that's a valid use of your time, I'm for that. That's great. That really is great. That's not how I value my time. See, this goes back to valuing one's time.
Mhm.
And I value my time way too much to give it away for free.
I love that.
So if they come in and it's a minimal charge, it's not a lot of money. If they decide to move forward, I credit the consult fee back to their overall fee. So they're not losing anything. I have no
Mhm.
problem with that at all.
I think that is awesome. I also charge for my consultation fees, and it really does weed out the people who weren't. I mean, if you're not even going to pay $200 for 90 minutes of my time, how can I expect you to pay for much more?
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I
Yeah.
think we're on the same page there. At the same time, Ashley, there are people who don't agree with that approach, and I've always said this, that's okay. If it works for you under different kind constraints, I just don't think that you can give them the proper amount of time running between patients, doing a crown prep here, a seat here, doing a hygiene exam. I can't review somebody's case. I can't transfer the information. I can't have them buy into why this is good for them,
Hmm.
doing all those things and not get charged for it. I can't do that. I'm not going to do that after 30 years of dentistry. I'm just not. Um, and if that means that I get fewer consults, that all that means then is I have to convert more of those consults, right?
Right. Right.
So somebody would say, well, would you rather do 10 consults and get 2 to commit, or would you rather do 4 consults and get 3 to commit? I'll do 4 consults and get 3 to commit. I'm ahead of the game.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to ask you because Chris ended talking about the bonus system that
Mm,
you guys have one. We didn't get into like the details of it. And unfortunately, when I took the course with you, you guys didn't touch on the bonus system because I think there was just so much information. Um, I don't, is it some like, do you have a set monthly, like you look at your monthly expenses? Because Chris said that you are the numbers guy for the practice. Like, you know, all your
yeah.
percentages and all of that. Are you taking like the last 3 month average of your overhead and like figuring out the break even and then divvying that up according to like the roles of the team members in the practice? Because you have a
No.
very amazing engaged team.
We do. So let me explain why we don't do it that way of the rolling 3 month of the 3 months.
Okay.
Because we have in the summertime, we have non-season.
Oh.
So this is why I actually don't use practice management consultants. I
Mm-hmm.
did very early in my career, but they can't get their head around people leaving Florida for the summer and why
Gotcha.
numbers go down in June, July, August, September. They can't wrap their heads around it. The back in the old days, this is funny. You would get a practice management consultant. Back in the old days, they'd go and start pulling, they go to Dentrix or EagleSoft or SoftDent and start pulling out these papers. And they'd spend half a day pulling papers and reviewing the notes and reviewing the numbers. And they're like, well, okay, explain to me why the third quarter is really not good here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, it's not good here because 40% of the patients go back up north.
Hmm.
They're like, well, what does that mean? I go, well, how much more clear do I have to make it? These people have two homes. They leave in at like May 25th, which is Memorial Day, and they don't come back until October 1st and November 1st.
Wow.
And so we have 40% less patients. Now that has changed since COVID, where less patients are leaving to go back up north. A lot of them move down. But now since COVID, people are traveling, and you see this nationally. The
Mm-hmm.
numbers of people traveling are off the charts. I mean, I've got to tell you, when I went to Italy a couple of weeks ago, I knew 10 people who were either in Italy right before
Mm-hmm.
me or right after, or there was two people there at the same time as me, and like another 10 people after me. Everybody's traveling. So if everybody's traveling, my numbers go down.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't do it that way. I know what it costs me to the overhead in the practice every single month. Obviously, that's a static number. That's not changing. I know what it costs me in that practice. There are some months where we kill it, Ashley, and there are other months where we struggle because we don't have the volume of patients in town. And I have a friend who doesn't understand this. He just can't get his head around it. I'm just tired of explaining it to him that I don't have the consistency of
Mm-hmm.
patients that are in town. It just doesn't work like that. So that also means that we have to hit on these consults at a more frequent number. Now, having said that, let's talk about the bonus system. There's two bonuses involved here. There's a bonus for when the hygienists meet their goals. So their goal for the daily amount does not change.
Okay.
They have an amount that they have to hit. And after that number, I will give them 10% of the difference. So let's use simple numbers here, okay, for everybody. What does that mean,
Okay.
Ritter? Okay, so let's say your average, you want them to do $1,500 for the
Mm-hmm.
day. I'm just going to make up a number, whatever, $1,000, 1,500, whatever. Let's do 1,500. And if they did 2,000 for the day, the difference is $500,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'll give
Mm-hmm.
them 10% of the difference. I'll give them $50 for the day. So there's two things going on here. I know that $1,500 pays for their salaries, pays for the overhead of the practice for that chair, based on how much we charge for our pro fee,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I know what I'm making on the pro fee times 8 patients for the day, and I know what I'm paying them per hour, and I know the percentage of that. So I came up with that number, and I'm again, if you want to use 1,500 just for easy numbers, then if they did 2,000 for the day, they get an extra
Mm-hmm.
$50 times 8 hours. It's like another $7.50 per hour that they're making. You
Mm-hmm.
keep what you kill, right? Because what happens is, and we know this, what's going on with hygiene, they're asking for these salaries, but the problem is if you're in a PPO environment and you're charging $52 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
$52, I'm sorry, for a hygiene pro fee, but you're paying them $50 an hour, it becomes a loss leader. It's almost like at Toys R Us where they
Yep.
sell the diapers at cost so that you'll come in and buy other things. You can't run a practice like that because everything becomes a sales job then, and you're always scrambling. You're behind the 8 ball. So I don't do that. So we come up. That's the one bonus.
Okay.
And bonus is for our team members, and when we hit our number for the day. So when me and Ramsey have a number, and you can, is it $1,000 for the day, 10,000 for the day, whatever it is, they get 1% of anything over that number. So, and that gets divided up evenly between everybody. So, the assistants and the front office team. So it behooves them to keep our schedule full because they're making their salary plus benefits plus a bonus. So everybody is making something that day, right?
Mm.
Because I think, what we like to say is there is a ceiling on all of these jobs. It doesn't matter if you've been with me for 30 years. If there's a ceiling at that job, the only other way I can pay you more money, and I want to pay you more money, is if we're doing more dentistry.
Right.
And then everybody benefits then, right? We're doing good quality, we're doing great quality dentistry for the patient. I'm making my numbers for the day, and in turn, I'm benefiting that to the team members who have helped to make that happen as well. That's the way it's got to work. I can't have a hygienist coming in demanding $75 an hour. I can't pay that.
That's California.
Yeah, thank I live in Florida. Thank God. Because what do you have to charge for that pro fee?
Oh, geez, it's ridiculous. So in my first location, we are still in network with Delta. So it's $50 for a prophy. I think a comp exam for Delta is like $40 or whatever it is.
So what are you paying your hygienist if you don't mind me asking?
60, 65,
So you're losing on every pro fee.
unless they are teeing up treatment. Basically, yes.
They not unless they have to.
Yeah. Yep.
They have to. Because if you're not getting treatment out of that pro fee, you can't do that consistently over a period of time.
No. And this is why so many people are like trying to do assisted hygiene, but
Well, that's
then
one way you get around it, and that works well. You hire an assistant, and then you
yes,
basically stagger them, right? You stagger them all the way down for the day. So instead of seeing 8 patients, you're seeing more like what, 14 or something like that?
except the hygienists, they don't want to work that hard and they don't.
No. You can't have it both ways. That's another thing in life.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
you can't have it both. No, sorry, kid. Can't have it both ways. That's not how business runs. That's not how it works. Can't have it. You can't have it both ways. If you want to get your $65 an hour, then you're going to have staggered hygiene. That's the way it works.
Hmm. I think that's why so many people in California, in Washington, instead of hiring another hygienist for $70 an hour, they're hiring associates who are then they're telling them like you do your profis
So
and
you
then
keep what you
you,
kill, right?
you eat what you kill. Yep.
Right. Yep. Well, if that's the way it's going, then that's the game you got to play. I mean, I
Yeah.
understand that. I understand that. I just know that if that scenario existed by us, the way I
Hmm.
would handle that would be we'd have, the assisted hygiene, we'd have
Hmm.
the assistant, and we'd stagger it and have between 14 and 15 patients a day. That's the only way you could make that work financially if you don't hire associates to become, hygienists slash dentists. I
Mm.
just don't see the numbers otherwise. It just doesn't, I don't know. I don't see it. Because the numbers tell you everything, right? The
Yeah.
numbers do tell you everything. You have to, at the end of the day, it's a business,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
the numbers have to work for you to stay in business. And I think we forget that sometimes as dentists. Listen, this is not an easy profession, right? You got to be a great chairside dentist. I know Ramsey I know he went over his, be great at your craft thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. And then at the end of the day, you got to be a marketing firm. You have to be a soothsayer. You have to be able to communicate with patients. You have to be
Hmm.
able to communicate with your team members. You have to be an accountant. At times, you have to, come up with retirement plans, think about the future, be a buying agent. I mean, there's just so much that goes into it. It's very exciting. It's a lot of fun
Hmm.
when you've dialed it in. Um, but it's just challenging. There is something I do want to pivot to real quick, though, if it's okay.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Ramsey goes on about this whole idea of being great at your craft, and he's 100% right. And there's some great CE out there to help you with that, to become a great chairside dentist. You go to the Pankeys, the Dawsons, the Spears, the Coises, which is just mind-numbingly high level of education. My thing has always been, it's great. Most of the people go back to their practice and don't implement it. They don't
Mhm.
implement that information. They don't become that type of dentist. And there's a lot of excuses for the reasons why they don't do it. I can't tell you how many times I heard, well, I don't have that kind of practice. I'm like, well, one of two things. Then either one, why did you take the CE in the first place if you don't have that type of practice? Or two, you went there for a reason. You went there to learn. What's
Mhm.
holding you back from implementing that in your practice? Something is holding you back, and it's typically you. Look in the
Mhm.
mirror. It's you. That's where our course comes in, Ashley, as you know. Thank you for mentioning that. That's where we help people is take that wonderful information and implement in your practice to do the type of dentistry you learned and want to provide for your patients, and your patients want that. There's a different thing going on though right now. That's becoming great at your craft and being a great chairside dentist. And if you view that as success, that's awesome. There's another type of success, and that's become the entrepreneur in dentist. This is you as well. You've opened up your second practice. I have a feeling there'll be a third practice along the way, maybe a fourth or a fifth. Well, you shake your head no, but let's revisit this in a couple of years.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. So that type of success is being an outstanding business person, correct? Maybe, and I know somebody who was not a good chairside dentist, not good. Um, Either purchased or built other practices and now owns four different practices.
Wow.
And people say he's killing it, killing it. And he's a great entrepreneur. He's not a great chairside dentist, but he's successful.
Mhm.
He's making money doing that. He should probably step out from the chair altogether and just manage all four practices. And he has a level of success. I have a cousin who's a dentist, and he says, oh, wow, he's so successful. And I said, you're right. He is being an entrepreneur. He's not as successful being a chairside dentist. Either one of those is great, depending on how you define your own success.
Mhm.
There are two types of people out there. There are the artists and the entrepreneurs. It's very difficult to be both. Very difficult. The big success stories, there are some, and they've got big names in dentistry, who have wonderful practices, reputations, who do big numbers and great chairside dentists, but they're relatively few. Either you have a small cottage industry of a practice and you do outstanding dentistry and you do well, or you own multiple practices, or the super practice where you have 8 or 10 dentists working for you and you're the manager of that, or you own 7 practices and you manage that, ultra successful, but they're not practicing dentistry. So I think sometimes we conflate what success is. And so when
Mhm.
somebody describes when they're successful, I always ask them, what does that mean to you?
Mhm.
Because I think we unfortunately get around other people,
Mhm.
and somebody will start talking about something and you're like, I don't know how to do those kind of numbers in my practice. And you realize they're not really practicing, they're managing these practices. And that, what I'm saying to you is that's okay. It goes back to what I said. It's not what they tell you, it's what they don't tell you. I just want to know if you're doing that, I'd love to know how you're doing that. I really
Mhm.
do. But be very clear with me what type of practice or practices you have,
Mhm.
and I'll determine the level of success, because I know for me in our practice, we're successful, but we're chairside dentists making it happen in a successful practice, right? We
Mhm.
don't have 4 or 5 practices, and I don't have the super practice where I've got 5 different dentists and specialists working in there. Got to be honest with you, I'd love to have that. I really
Mhm.
would later in my career. And
Mhm.
I think I might have wanted to pivot to that a while ago. I
Mhm.
think it would have been a great thing for me to transition from being an artist to an entrepreneur. I think it could have extended um, my career even further than it is now. And I think that's great. But at the same time, I'm very happy what I'm doing right now. So I think that dentistry affords us the ability to be successful either way.
Mhm.
And I think you just have to determine what you want to do in dentistry, how you want to get there. And it doesn't matter, Ashley, at the end of the day, what anybody thinks of you. Who cares? When I say who cares, let me retract that. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks of you. It just matters what you think of yourself,
Mhm.
right? And so if your family believes in you, if your team believes in you, either one of those practice models or three different or four different models will work if you do the best you possibly can for your patient and everything else falls in line. Hope that was a long-winded answer. I was able to give you some information there.
No,
Sure.
I loved it. I think it was the best way to close out our session today. And I'm really excited to have you and Chris at our retreat in Vail at the Four Seasons. It's going to be the best time of year, supposedly. Everyone loves Vail in September.
I've stayed at that hotel when I went skiing. It's a
Nice.
beautiful hotel. I know exactly where it is. It's right down the street from the town of Vale, which is
Hmm.
modeled after, like a small European village.
It's so
And
cute.
it's cute. The steakhouse inside of it is quite good downstairs. I don't know if you
Oh,
got to.
yes. So they're actually remodeling that restaurant.
Will it be open?
It won't be open. However, so our finale dinner, we were supposed to have a complete restaurant buyout for our event, but they are remodeling it. So instead, they're closing out the swimming pool area and like their big fireplace, and we're gonna have dinner under the stars and dancing in a ballroom. So it's gonna be a good time.
Beautiful. It'll still be a great time. It's a beautiful hotel. It's such a beautiful part of the country. It's
Yes.
what a great location for this. Really looking forward to it, spending some time with you. I always love spending time with you because you're such a positive person. You want to help people. I love your path that you're on.
Thank
You're
you.
doing it the right way. You're trying to help other dentists along the way. I've told you this before. You're easy to listen to. And the people who have come to your summit, I've heard nothing but great things about it, the last couple that you've had. And these are dentists who care, right, Ashley? They care.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
want to be there. They're there for the right reason. They want to be a better dentist. They want to be a better business person. They want to provide better outcomes. And they're just looking for ideas, help, knowledge, direction. And you surround yourself with other people like that. It's very inspiring. Our tanks get low. I think
Yes.
sometimes, you know, our self-esteem can get beaten down on.
Yep.
And I can understand why people feel, burnt out, like you said at the beginning of the conversation, or defeated. And so when we show up to something like this and you're surrounded with other like-minded dentists, I always found also, Ashley, at the end of the courses or in between, like the coffee
Hmm.
breaks, I get
Hmm.
as much information, if not
Yep.
more, or inspiration then than I do from the person lecturing. Not that they're not great, but
Yeah.
somebody will say something, I'm like, that's a great idea. Oh, I can't
Hmm.
wait to go back and implement that in the practice. Or it's a different way of thinking. Maybe I should rework my numbers to look at my KPIs a different way. I love that. I love it. So I'm really looking forward to it. I really am.
Well, I'm so excited to have you guys. And if you okay, if you're listening to this, if you haven't already taken the protocol, what are you even waiting for? Make sure you tell them like, "Hey, I listened to you on with Ashley and she convinced me because I'm like your raving fan. I don't know if you've realized that, Rob. I hope you have. I
Uh,
really adore you guys.
I Ashley, that I love, I mean, it's very nice to hear. It's nice to hear, but it's because of who you are as a person. So, and I know you, and I appreciate you. And I hear that, and it makes me
Likewise.
think that what we're doing is helping and working. I'm not, I say this all the time. I'm not doing it for myself. I mean, I'm already doing what I want to do. So my goal now is to
Yeah.
help the people who really want to get there. And when I hear that from you, that makes my day. It's going to make you kick my weekend off
Yes.
on the right way. So thank you, Ashley, so much. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you.
Oh, right back at you, Rob. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you in Vale and Chris in Vale. Are you bringing your wives?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I would be able to go if I
Oh,
didn't take Isabel to Vail. I think you know what it is. She looks and she says, "Where are you going?" I said, I'm going to a lecture in Vail." "Oh, I'm going to that one." Or I'm going to lecture here. "Oh, I'm going to that one." If I say another
yes.
place, I could say it, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going there." But how can we not bring our
Yes.
Vail, right?
Good, good. No, it's a good time. Oh, before I wrap, I wanted to ask you, AAED, is that
Yes.
invitation only?
This year, I think it is. The way it
Okay.
works with AD is Every couple of years, and I don't know if the cycle, if it's every other year, every 2 years, every 3 years, it's called an open meeting where you
Okay.
don't need an invitation to go. This year, I think it's invitation.
Gotcha.
Do you want to come this year?
When is it?
It's like it's a couple weeks from now.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
probably.
it's the 6th, the 7th, the 8th of August.
Oh, we'll be in Florida actually.
How will you?
Disney World.
Oh, even better. Even
Yeah.
better. That's even better. But the AED, which is in the summertime,
Okay.
which moves, in next year, I don't know where it's going to be. They'll announce it at the meeting. It's in the summertime. It's usually the first or second week of August. Again, every second, third year, it's open meeting. Other than that, you
Okay.
need an invitation. I always give invitations. I have as many invitations as you need. Or for
I want
people that
one.
want to come. So for
Okay.
next year, you want to come.
Yes, I
The
do.
other one, yeah, the other one is, and I don't want to, is the Restorative Academy. That's the one that meets
Yes.
February. Yeah, that's a little different. That I have only two invitations to um, as a member. And I think the way it works there is I know I think my first two are guaranteed. But what I always tell people is my first invitation goes to my business partner. He gets the first one because he's not a member. And he's like, I got the best
Oh,
deal because Ritter, you have to go every year as a member. That's the one thing you have to go every year.
gotcha.
And
Yes.
so what he does is he goes, yeah, I'm going to go this year. So I'm like, okay, well, that's the first one gone. So I only have one invitation. So I usually have people contact me 6, 8 months in advance. Can I?
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
literally list them in order because sometimes I can get the third person in. One year I
Yes.
was able to get four people in, which is very unlikely. But yes, if you want to get on the list, Ashley, of course, I'll put you on the
Put me
list.
on the wait list. I want to
You're on
be
the
on
wait
your
for
list.
the Restorative Academy. That's an incredible 2 days. It's a Saturday, Sunday. It's a who's who of dentistry. It's
Yeah.
our dental idols that are there. It has become it's the place to go to meet your dental idols, to get great CE. It's a very formal, most prestigious slash most historical society we have in dentistry.
Mhm.
Uh, and when I got into it and when I started going 20 years ago, people used to laugh at me for going, and most people don't even know what it is. Now it's turned to where it's the hottest ticket in dentistry, very difficult to go to, very prestigious. And unfortunately, I just can't have everybody I want to go. But I don't make the rules. That's another thing. My partner gives me a hard time about that. I don't make the rules. I'm just a member.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to like I said, see you anytime I get to have more Ritter and Ramsey in my life. I always you get so awesome. If you okay, take the protocol, guys. Join us in Vale also. Reach out to Rob. Where can they find you, Rob?
Pretty simple. Just Dr. Rob Ritter on Instagram.
Dr. Rob Ritter.
ERROBRITTER. I'm there. I answer all my DMs. I answer all of
Uh,
them.
well, you're amazing and have a wonderful weekend. I'll see you
You too.
soon.
I'll see you soon and have a wonderful time at Disney World.
Thank
Um,
you.
I used to love going there as a child and bringing my daughter, and it's such a magical place. It truly is a magical place to go. So have a
Uh,
wonderful time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, thank you guys again for listening to another episode of the Making of Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Duh, of course you did. Yeah, we'll catch you on the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye.